So,
Oh,
can you hear me? Yes, I guess.
yes, I do. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm 1 year older than the last time. Officially,
Yes, yes.
three 5 days, 365 days passing 2 days. So I'm 1 year older.
Yeah. So, how is it? What's up?
You change the by the way with the WhatsApp. You change the background of your WhatsApp.
What?
No, Your the
Really?
background of WhatsApp. At so if you did not,
What do you mean
maybe
by
it's because
background? In the chat?
yeah. Of
No.
okay, no, it's because automatically I have the Chrome plugin for dark,
Ah, okay.
and
Yeah,
so then it did it automatically. I thought like, oh,
I see. I never
so
noticed. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
we are in chat. We are chatting.
Or chatting or eating
Um,
or half sleeping.
but I think it was nice that you sent me that message because I think, especially because we are in this thing of like we are at the edge of chaos. I mean, we are at the edge of institutionalization. I think,
Right.
and I think it's important then to reflect that this cannot become labor or work in the
No,
normal sense.
totally. No.
So I think it's good to reflect if this happens because just life happens and we just need to find strategies to just or
Yeah.
do focus work sessions of whatever, but otherwise we kill the space that we build.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it's not good.
I have to say, like, well, because at first this whole screwed up situation happened because of myself. So that was like, first I felt like, I have to really like give space. And in some ways I think it's fine, but also like if this is happening for 2 months, then I'm gonna kill myself because here it's like 11 p.m. and I mean, staying up late is not the biggest issue, but like working at this time is actually quite demanding. Also, like it really like, changes my social life because, I have to plan things that so that I am at home at this time, which is, not always fun. But, I think it's fine like if we keep, you know, like 1 week for work, but also other weeks just to be a bit more chill or, we work
But I
asynchronously.
think what you proposed was good, like like it's also holidays, so until
Right.
let's just till New Year, just lose, we see what come.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and then next year we have to I need to go back in the BR thing. We
Right.
have
And then we'll
but
be in Slovenia.
what?
Then right after that, we'll be in Slovenia.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be very
Yeah,
soon.
yeah. So, but we have to enjoy these days. I'm enjoying so much.
Exactly.
I'm reading so much. I'm reading a lot of different things.
Good. Yeah, it's also like something very difficult when we're like working online because it happens more like, um, what's the word? Like durational or in like chronic pain that is like it can happen like all the time. But if you're like working in real life, we know that okay, we're working this day and we do it, or this week. But if we do it online, it can, spread out a bit more. So we have to say like, okay, this is holidays. We're not gonna work. Otherwise, like, I mean, we like to work. So we have to find the balance before we burn ourselves out.
Something will be nice, like if we find the time, as I would like to maybe we have one session to I want to go to understand what is in the I was trying to run the notebook. I didn't spend that much time also, but I guess I just make a copy and then I was trying just to run something, it didn't work, and I was like, eh. So like we do one session for that. But the other thing that I mentioned in the chat is I guess I have not really write code in more than a year. Like seriously,
Mm.
And I was thinking because maybe I want to use the tables for something. I just want, okay. I mean, in my head, I know technically the steps to do it. And I thought, okay, let's just write this. And I just write one, like I wrote and literally give me the snap code to take everything.
Mm,
I just wrote in the chat like with the words, like the right words, what I wanted to request get information from an API,
right.
and with that information to create a gallery style with each field, which each object attribute field. I mean, I knew what I have to say, but know how to code it. And then I just wrote, and the result that it gave me was just it was right away. And I typed like that maybe 2 years ago, I think, and it didn't work completely. Or maybe I
Mm.
didn't. It didn't work. No, it didn't work. Like now, it was just really straight away. I didn't have to change anything. I was surprised.
Yeah, it will
And
be
yes,
like I was thinking like so I also started to like think about like how we have the GPT-2 like the generation text generation, but also like because there's a well because of not just because of the institution, but we have to work with the code. And I was like experimenting a little bit. It's
you mean with
there's
the
not
Hydra, like with
exactly, yeah.
application thing?
Yeah. I don't have anything that I can show you right now, but I was just, trying something out. But then I was thinking, like, I think it makes sense to make a bunch of examples rather than like having polished things. Instead of we provide the thing that does what we wanted. But I think it's better to like experiment with, different ways of interacting with Hydra code, for example. It can be like, a bunch of sketches.
You're speaking right now just in the visual Hydra code uh, part.
Not the code itself, but because we wanted to provide the interface, right,
Yeah.
for the users. And I mean, it can be the interface or something that we use on the stage, but like the text generation, I don't think we can like make it public because we need to sort out the API keys and stuff. Because right now I noticed that quickly it will use up the API limit, so we can't just give it to people.
If you don't put it secure, I mean with a key.
Uh, because it's a free account, I think. So it has a limit. You can't run it up to, I don't know how many times, like maybe like 60 times per hour or whatever. I don't know. But if you like just keep calling the API, then it will stop
Yeah.
because it's a free account and it's using their GPU. So
There's a free account of what is.
from
You mean the calls?
the,
The calls are when it's free. You have no registration, so then you have a limit of 200 calls. Is that you're
for
saying?
example, for the text generation, the Hugging Face that Andrea made, is using their server.
And you can just do 200 calls per day.
For example, I think it's more than that, but if we give it to people, then if there are 50 people, then we'll have 50 calls in 1 second, and
Yeah,
that's not good. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. So, um, but anyways, what I want to say is like for Hydra or text generation or whatever, I think it makes sense in terms of our workflow, like not to make one or two examples, but like that polished one. But instead of that, we just like make bunch of things, and I can do a lot of things, and also you can maybe try to do the Airtable, or like just come up with something, do something quick, and then maybe we can iterate on it. But try to like make a bunch of examples. That's what I thought like would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I thought already like a bit, like naturally, for instance, I think what I'm speaking so loud, like oh, it sounds super loud. Um, like I was testing, like they just start playing yesterday, just with the endless chat, and
Mm.
I found just this thing was just useful. It looks so good when there was a sound was passing. I mean, there's a
Oh,
whole thing that you can just do if you have it in your phone, and then you have this. voice control thing. Yeah, anyway, so I was like, for instance, like that's something that I can do is like basically play. I do the stress testing of the tools and then see maybe what is interesting to maybe slow down and propose a framework. For instance, in that case of the endless chat, I thought it was interesting because it has ways. If you're in your phone specifically, it will run, but then if you don't scroll at some point, it kind of stops. So also if you're doing the voiceover, you need to give some space for the voiceover to have words, or otherwise it stops, and then you need
Mm,
to click it again. I mean, so there are all these small things that within that a small framework you can create. You can do something that is creative.
yeah,
Um, like you can create a composition just from that is
yeah,
within the what we're doing.
yeah.
And
Instead of trying to make it polished and try to
because we
code
don't
to
know,
add
like,
more
we don't know
features.
what we need, like exactly. So,
Exactly.
and I
Yeah.
think what is like if we have tools, then for some reason, like then you have something, then I check it in a way, kind of I stress it, and then if I found something interesting, then I can just propose it back.
Yeah.
Um, I think that makes sense. And then maybe we see if we need to do some iteration in this tool or in that tool rather than working on the super tool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree.
But going back to the institutionalization, like I haven't watched many chats so far, but
No,
the
me.
first one I picked was the one we did with Joanna, and that was really interesting. Like that was like 2 years ago, 2 years and
We
a
should
half.
invite her to talk with her again. That would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we were talking about this exact topic. And also like
Yeah.
we were like kind of like afraid that, what happened if the practice, like there's a third person in the practice, for example. That was a time like we were talking about these things. And I think it's because of your thesis. And um, but at that time we didn't have the idea of workshop yet. I think, wait, was it? No, I think that was last year we did the workshops.
Yeah,
And that
with
was
the workshop idea, we just started like thinking, maybe not last year, the last time you were in Japan. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. I remember.
right. So it's like after that. I think it was after improvements, kind of,
Yeah, I think so. Like,
more or
and there
less.
is
Yeah.
like a conversation with Annie that we talk on that topic.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
chat, there's a chat with Annie in that topic.
Yeah. Yeah, then I was here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it was interesting. Like we kind of like expected what's gonna happen, but also we didn't have the means to, I mean, also we didn't have the exact opportunity to, create a piece or do a workshop. But we were like already expecting those things, and also like talking about this archive that there was like I think took a note, but I don't know if I can find it. Hmm. Anyways, oh yeah, Joanna was asking like, do you ever see yourself going back to the archive and having to do something with it?
Oh wow, we never thought of that. That's what we're doing now. That's what we're doing right now.
Exactly. It's just so
Wow.
funny. Like this chat was like exactly like everything about what we're doing now.
Yeah, and also conversation about institutions and stuff.
I think it was this one, but maybe it was not this one. I don't know actually. Maybe I just didn't take notes because that was not the most important thing. Hmm. Yeah.
So how and you're doing just are you just reading the script or are you watching them?
Oh, I downloaded a sound like MP3 and I was listening to it when I was on the train.
Um, there is something. Okay, so this is one task that we have an ongoing task that I haven't started. I mean, no, it's not true. I started, but in a different way, I guess.
Mm,
I have created tables, yeah, and but is this th thing of like revising or archives, right?
yeah, like reviewing.
Reviewing things, and yeah, this is something that we have an ongoing thing there, right?
Yeah.
I haven't checked something.
Yeah, it's quite demanding, I found. Like it's not something like a
Just
podcast that you would just listen to it, but because you catch all these small things and it's really hard to like just like let it go, I found, to me at
mm,
least.
yeah, I will imagine it will be easier just to yeah, I haven't I think I should do
Just have
that
someone to annotate.
because it's difficult to not have like this, yeah, to not be biased on because
Totally.
but maybe we don't need to do I mean to be I mean to worry about if you're biased or not. Like, it's just it's absurd like trying to do
No, I
that
mean,
exercise of something.
yeah, and because I was like also trying to like, take notes of everything that I thought interesting, but that's super exhausting. You just have to listen
Yeah.
to it and then, like, yeah, just take it easy. But I think there are interesting ideas that were like already there, but we were not ready, or we just didn't have it was not the right moment to, to execute what we were talking about at that time. And that's interesting.
Mm, interesting. That would be nice
To
to
talk to
talk
them.
with her again. Like they're gonna I just saw in the social media that she and Annie they will talk. There is something happening in Lima and we think some
Oh,
framework
nice.
of digital care
Okay.
in January at some point, like at
Mm.
15th of January or something. Um yeah, that would be nice to go, but because they're not gonna put it online. I check.
Oh, I see.
But it's
That
nice.
is
It's like I
shame.
mean there's Annie and her that putting I mean the framework is something like is a woman that influence digital performances,
Mm.
and then it's Annie like one early stage, and then like Joanna is a contemporary example.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I
Oh,
see. Interesting.
yeah,
It's
it's
like
very interesting.
they're always the two people who like I refer to, like in that sense of like online performance, I would say.
Mm, yeah, it's
So
interesting.
they took my idea. Oh. Um,
They took my idea.
oh, but it's actually true because I left my thesis there. It's in the library at Lima,
And so
and I
what you
mentioned them about them.
okay, so maybe you're
So maybe
suggesting
they
maybe
read
to
it
read
and
it
it's
and
like,
then I
oh,
thought
the
like,
two
okay,
people.
could be.
But not Naoto, because Naoto is a guy, you know.
Did you are you you're doing Christmas Day there, like 24 and 25 in Japan?
Um, I mean, not in a specific way. I'll probably meet friends and, it'll be some
On
random
24 or in
stuff.
25?
Both, I think. But like it's kind of like very loose. We don't have like a specific plan, but we'll see. But it's not like a big party, or it's not like family thing either.
Were you in Colombia New Year and New Year's last year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was there. What did we do? Oh yeah, I was in Santa Marta, and then
Ah, yeah? Oh.
yeah, I saw the countdown, like people at the beach. It's really funny. But yeah, right. Yeah, some friends were there, but in the end I didn't join because I was tired. Oh, no, I didn't. We went to the beach on the day, like New Year's Eve, actually. Anyways, so what was it? So yeah, where are we going and what do we do? And I mean, we said like we have like 100, well, 1,000 things to talk about.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
Um, no, I think like it will be nice like to schedule one session, then you to see like the notebook, the example of Andrea. Then I
Mm,
understand how it works because there's one part also that is I think about scraping in the notebook itself. So I don't
okay.
know. One of the steps it says like I think it's I don't know how they I have never scraped something, but I understand like I mean she uses scraping at some part like to take material from some practice, no?
Right. The transcription, the
Yeah,
subtitles, basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, like to like basically to to check that how it works in the back end a little bit that I understand how it works. What is that?
Yeah.
Maybe I can use it a bit differently. Um,
Right. I mean, it could be that
so
you have to generate your API key or something.
yeah, but I mean that's fine. It's fine as long as I understand what is that I'm missing or
Right.
because at least in what she said there, it's just that you have to make a copy of the thing in your drive, and then if you don't want to
Uh,
change anything, you just run I think it's step 4 or something. But it so the anyway that we do a session with that, like then we both check what is the notebook, then I can also use it uh, in different ways.
is a
Uh,
best practices text generation? That's the thing, I guess. I guess. Yeah. I think I found it. I'll try to like that with my homework to try it out on my own so that we could put it
yeah,
together because I think I can't just, run it and tell you how to do this because I'm pretty sure like I will encounter some problems and
but the way how you implement, I mean, you implement that exercise in some things, no? In like in
no,
the
because
endless chat.
I just used her examples in P5.js that so basically this is for training, right? You get the data and
Um,
train the model, but if you just want to run this to generate text, then you just have to go to her example about yeah, it's on the GitHub that she provided us. I can
can you send me that link? Where
yeah,
is that?
I'm looking for it. I
And
think
let's put it
it's
there. Hybrid.
yeah, I sent it in the um WhatsApp, but also I'll put it here.
Yes.
I think it's this one. Yeah, this is really simple actually. It's just one P5.js code.
I didn't found this. I mean, I was just in the notebook. So you didn't went to the notebook.
No, not yet. But this is like
Okay.
useful if you want to train it, I think. Yeah, it
Sketch
does.
style. So, but then were you changing something? Right. Index, sketch. Did you change something in this?
I mean, this is original one from her, and the one I have is like, I mean,
Index.
it uses her code in some ways, but um, wait, but I'm using like front end stuff, so it's a little bit
Okay.
uh more code and some framework stuff. The endless one is called endless chat. I'll just put it here.
But you're not doing, well, yeah, I guess the question is like, you're not doing anything back end differently. You're not, the data
No,
that
I'm
you're
just
selecting
calling the
in the,
API.
okay. So in the
Yeah,
same way that she's calling that.
exactly. It's just
Okay.
displaying in a different way,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
it's
why
front end.
it
That's what you're
has like a
changing.
lot of front end stuff.
Yeah. And by the way, how did you manage to do like an endless chat? How were
Oh,
you doing?
so it generates with the first prompt, and then it makes text. I forgot. I have to go to the code in order to know what whatever. Like I don't know, maybe like 100 characters or something, like small one. And then after it's generated, it picks up the last few words from the generated text, and that's becomes the new prompt,
Prompt.
and it just continues.
So it's just a function that is waiting for, but the how then you're in the code, you're waiting for that line. It's a
You mean
function that is
the
waiting for, yeah, the value.
how it's displayed? Um, Actually, I forgot.
Yeah, maybe I'm just gonna open your
Mm,
with, I mean, I guess with a wait, something there is a waiting, no? Like something like a wait, something like that. How are you using?
Must be something with a tween. Oh, is it tween text done? Yeah, so what happens is
Because this is
um
an asynchronous function that you're using to do that.
so it generates a text with the API, and the generated text will be passed to this um code that's I call it like tweening because well it's kind of tweening. So basically it just displays, one character at a time. That's why it makes animation sort of.
Ah, okay.
So it like when it's displaying like one by one, like character wise, that's like everything's already generated. So it's just like doing, it's like not real time. So you get the data, maybe like 100 characters of data that's taken from the API, and on the interface, it's showing, one character, and then after 10 milliseconds, another character. So that's why it looks like it's animating. And then when this animation is done, there's an event called from this animation renderer to the uh, to trigger the API call again. So it does animation, and then once it animation's done, it calls the API again, but this time the prompt is the last few words that were displayed, and then this just continues. As soon as you
And
get the
then
API, the data from the
you're
API, then
doing
it
them in, yes, yes, sorry.
and then yeah, just show the animation again, and then animation's done. You call the API again, and then show text again.
And the animation, you're doing that in CSS, or how, what are you doing? Like,
JavaScript. So it's just changing the inner text of the element. It's just like manually changing the DOM with the JavaScript.
per letter or per
Yeah,
word.
yeah, with the set timeout. So it's the simplest way that you could do. And I do this all the time actually.
Yeah, okay, but so we're, yeah, so what we're doing is like like just to say, like, to have a session, like to check the notebook together, maybe.
Yeah, I think it will
And
be useful because if we want to train it with other people's text, then this will be super
yeah,
useful,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Because then we have
Yeah,
different ideas. Like also
yeah.
we could see that is there a limitation? Because I think when I check fast, I think she was using just one. I mean, there were like four APIs. There were four identifiers from the chats. So I didn't really check exactly how she did it, but it's clear that she took four chats from the scraping script, and based on these four, she feed the model somehow.
I'm
But
not sure though. Oh, no, I think she actually uses the playlist, and that could mean that first you get the list of videos from the playlist, and then you go through all the videos in the playlist. I think that's what she was doing.
like all the list of chats.
Exactly.
and is she scraping each of them?
I think that's what's happening, but I haven't checked the whole
Yeah.
thing.
No,
So
so let's not do this right now. Like, so, but
mm,
just like maybe just when you have find some time, check, and then because I think would be useful to understand how it works
yeah,
and see also what are the limitations. Because if we understand the limitations, we can try to break what are the, I mean, what is the limit of the thing that we can try to break it. I mean, then we can both use it somehow.
right. I mean, I can't really go through the code because I'm not so familiar with Python, but at least I can try to run it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, but you will make more sense than myself. So it like if you like check first, then we met, and then we try to see.
Yeah, let's see. And also I
Yeah,
will check if we can just, take this YouTube part out and feed whatever text we have. I think that's not that difficult to do. So to act
like the
like
basic
train,
with different data.
exactly. Yeah. Just like
Yeah, yeah,
text
yeah,
data. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That'll be really useful.
Yeah. Uh, and to understand, so like you were saying, I remember I was asking you one day, like, how much in percentage is generated from, like, for instance, in your example that I remember, I was asking you how much from the result is, no, wait, how much the model is having from the practice and how much from the GPT-2 itself.
Right.
And you were saying that it's not so, because I was expecting more an answer like 80% is the model and
Mm.
20% is generated. And you were saying this is more like a black box. It's not so, it's not like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I get your point, but I think yeah, I think it's really like a black box. And like for example, a temperature value is something that you can control, but it's, you feed that value to the black box. So it is a black box in the end, and we never know
You mean you feel
what's
about it because uh what we're doing, I mean, what uh Andrea did was to put text at the end, is just to put text inside the model. I mean, to create the model from the GPT-2, she put uh, the practices chat, right? She put it
right.
together there to create one model based on these two.
I don't know if it's called one model or like I don't know what the right term is.
But she create, I mean, there's one thing that is blend from a base that is the GPT-2, and then the other thing that it comes, like
Yeah,
the
I,
play.
I I don't know what are the right terms, but yeah, I think that's the understanding. So it's like a pre-trained model that has like, you know, with enormous amount of text data. This is GPT-2, and then you're adding, I don't know, our text, which is, just small portion of
Yeah.
the model. But then, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have any effect, but somehow also with the temperature and stuff that you can control. But it's not like you're saying that, okay, I want, you know, how much percentage of the influence from this or that. It doesn't work. It's not something that is like programmed in that way.
Yeah, because I was thinking like logically, if it's, I mean, just in the amount of text, I guess like comparing the amount of text that should be from GPT-2 to all the playlist and text, it should be way more, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what you have is
Text.
nothing basically.
Exactly, right? Like that's what I was trying to make sense. Like that make no sense that is just in
Exactly.
wait for the result that we get. Because the result is very influenced by this. Then I was
Right.
thinking like, yeah, so yeah, it makes sense what you said is a black box. So, but then also the temperature is not so, I mean, I thought it was more straightforward. I guess that gets more clear if you have just GPT-2 and then you ask, write a story of 5 lines between two people. And just from the prompt that you are putting at that moment, it makes sense to me that you can put it from zero accurate to 100 crazy in the temperature. Like how close to the model will follow. Um, so that in a way for me is understandable, but once because it's prompting, but if it's in the model itself, like then it's an abstraction in my head. Like, what does that mean? Like, is it
Mm.
yeah? So like, I guess let's move this conversation for another moment, and then we have it.
Yeah,
That we should have
yeah.
this
I mean,
conversation.
another analogy, I mean, like what just to add one thing is like, this became like a big problem when people were, for example, like self-driving car. If the car hit someone, and that means that the model couldn't detect the human, but who's accountable for this? Because it's not like, you get 20% of data from this data set and 80% of data from this
Okay.
data set. If that's the case, then it's, somehow we can say that, okay, you are the
Yeah, yeah.
culprit.
It's coming from that script, so that
Yeah,
company should be accountable from that.
exactly. But it doesn't
In more
work that
terms,
way
yeah.
because it's completely
Yeah.
black box.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Like this is interesting. One thing that I want to mention is like from things that I have been reading is like if in our societies, in Western societies, like language is very dominant. So like and it's very complicated from different sciences, like natural sciences and also humanities. Um, but we think in language and language is a very complicated topic. Um, and if these things are for instance, like the example that I heard was that if between two people, one said within a context that all dogs have four legs within a context, like you might understand that what I'm saying is not that I'm literally saying that every dog in the world has four legs, but in context because of the intention and we are humans, we all but that carry the gestures and all these things in the language, you will understand me and I can keep on talking. But if you said
Mm,
that in the model, in prompting, and then you expect some response, the the result that you will get is, I mean, the more it artificial intelligence will understand that all dogs are just have four legs. So the critique what there
interesting.
was, or like what they were trying to portray is like that in time, it could be a potential danger for language for humans because if AI so far how it's happened is not being, we don't have a concept backgrounds of how to implement these things. And now that is just being everywhere and there is not really a conceptual framework of how to implement them. Um, and if humans are really using language, and if everybody basically start using GPTs, and if these GPTs are just like degrading basically the language, it could be a problem in for humanity in general. Like because these things cannot have intent they don't get intentionality and all different
Mm,
things that happen between interspecies communication like all the what just we mentioned the gestures and the intention.
right. I mean, it's already like contaminated a lot because of like translation, like machine-based translation, and internet is just full of junk text. And all these models are also trained based on these, useless text. So I'm really curious like how language will evolve the next like decade or
But that's the
so.
thing that I was like I guess like that critique was interesting I think from an artistic perspective is that this idea of degradation in humanity in language, which is valid, is very interesting from the artistic point of view. Like when you have this endless
Mm,
chat, well, not only the endless chat, but I think like there is a lot of expressivity when you put the endless chat and then I start recording with the audio.
mm,
Like there's a lot of things that are going to happen because it's just deconstructed, not in a really clear way, but it just happens. Wait, we have to
yeah.
come back.
Yep. Okay.
But so, and I think this, I mean, this is interesting. This idea of like degeneration, I think is so interesting.
And it could be also choreography or whatever. I mean, art itself also, because, all this image generation is really now it's everywhere.
But what is like it's very interesting. I found that in within these topics, they were mentioning like when it becomes like really problematic, really like in a sociological perspective, is the language thing because it's very complicated, because of the impact. But you have all these things happening also with the image. That there's a lot of problems that these models have, for instance, apparently with hands,
Mm,
uh, because hands, like a face is very different from different angles, but hands are quite similar apparently from different angles. So it's one thing that apparently they have problems to replicate the hands, but it is just generate an abstraction that it just feels uncanny and it's like, I
right.
guess.
Yeah, because it
But
doesn't
it,
really understand anatomy.
exactly. But then if it's something, I mean, when there are examples when the AI just goes in places that are dark or just weird, it's different.
What do you mean?
What I'm trying to say is like, seeing weird hands or like faces with three eyes or like a lot of noise, a lot of different weird image things, like not natural. It just so it feels weird, but it doesn't give something more than just a weird feeling. And in the critique or in the conversation, uh, is that when sometimes you have examples of AI going crazy or start thinking in falling in love or in killing humanity, like that's in a balance in a way that's, I mean, that's more threatening because they're literally with language, so with representation of yeah, it's something that we understand, so it's not an abstraction of the hands are just a bit creepy. That is a bit that's abstract. That's something that is abstract. But if it's a machine saying that I will kill all humans being,
Oh,
that's a
okay.
very
It's literal.
it's literally exactly because it's
Yeah,
coming from words. It's not
right.
an abstraction, it's a concrete representation of a thought.
Mm, that we interpret because
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
not exactly
For the
the
machine is the same. Like there's no
yeah,
difference. Like it's just
right.
data, right? And
Yeah.
it's based on text in that case from both. It's based on in LLMs, right? But for us, the abstraction of the hands of the image is like, we don't, yeah. But the 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 words saying or putting out from the text is a different thing. It's like
Right. Interesting. Um, hmm. Yeah, it's also like you said, you can make voiceover or you can make people read it. With images, it's hard to like I was just like making analogy with the Pathfinder we did. What was interesting is it's no longer data, but it becomes, you know, the body movement as soon as it's just a dot moving in the grid, but we're just following it, and that adds a lot of meanings to it. And with the text as well, if you start to, read it aloud, then it adds much more context to it, although it was
totally,
just text.
totally. So I think, for instance, like it's not different what we're doing, I guess, with the practice, but I guess the practice always like when we are in the two spaces is two-dimensional. So that's why when I guess that's my feeling when we are in the spaces and we have tried, it is more challenging because it's not two-dimensional, it's three-dimensional. So it's different. The exercises, it demands more awareness of everything. I mean, it
Mm.
adds literally one more dimension. If you think like if we the practice is two-dimensional, and then once you are in the same space, you put up one more dimension, whatever that means. Like there's another body, but also the other, because for no matter what we're doing in the practice, what you bring, what you give to me is a two-dimensional representation. I mean, it's two-dimensional. What I get from you in a practice is two-dimensional. So
Yeah. Well, my question is more about like when we're in real life, it's not three-dimensional, but I mean, in terms of our senses, for example, we have, we feel, so there is, haptic and also kinetic senses as well that are added. And if you're doing it like this online, then it's literally, like you said, it's a flat screen and there's sound, but I don't really feel your presence. I can't really touch you, or there's no like, temperature or air that we
I don't know.
share.
I think I would like slightly disagree. Like I will say like a bit more that I still think that just like from a physical perspective, so like in a way it's like you can imagine almost like just the physical nature of the two-dimensionality or the three-dimensionality, what that means physically in the space, and at the other extreme, what is perception. Uh, and it demands, indeed, as you said, like it just demands more processing in your head when we are in the same space.
Right.
There's just more information. I think, yeah, like to make it more, I guess, more neutral. It's just more information that you have to
Mm.
deal with.
Maybe like I have to find the chat about this, but at one point, like we were talking about, these elements. So in a way, like you're like um let's say there's no hierarchy in the elements of the computer, and then there's live lab, there's like window, OBS, cursor, and you're also there. It's not like you're more important than something, but there's
Right.
there are like windows and code, browser, and you're there also. Kind of
Yeah.
like, but that only happens if we're calling, if you're in a two-dimensional space, pixels. But if you're in real life, you can't just say, like you're as
It's more
equally
difficult.
important as the cursor on my computer.
I guess like I will say that is no, but I think that's what I meant like with the dimensionality, once you put
Mm,
in the same space, then there are elements who are into two-dimensional space because you still go through the computer, but then there are other ones who are in 3D, like you are in the same space. So like just the example that you put is
yeah,
is more difficult to handle, like how keep
right,
on coding and then take that your body when it passes next to me and can give me a kiss, then how like no, it's like the cursor. It's
right.
it's but
There's
it's
an
it's not,
event triggered.
right?
Yeah. No, I'm just like saying that, I'm slightly like, I mean, I'm not comfortable with the word 3D because then 3D is just like one, like, the X axis added to the 2D, but it's more in terms of perception.
It's
I mean,
more information.
not just perception, but like it is like matter. It's volumetric, and it's not like, 3D in a sense like you can edit in a blender. Because
No,
if you
but I
say
think
3D, it's like blender
no.
to
No,
me.
no, 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 no. No, because it's still that's two-dimensional. Like the 3D is just a the computer is still is a two-dimensional thing. Like it's just like the 3D is just a simulation of 3D. But like the screen that we have is a two-dimensional thing. It's not a 3D. Like what a software will do is
Yes
still
and
is
no.
the surface is still is flat. So
Yeah, but
it's a
because
it's a
you're talking about
two-dimensional.
this, yeah. But no, I get your point. But after all, like there's like huge leap from the screen to the real life, it's not just about adding one dimension. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Think like I think like the that's because the way how I'm approaching that, what I'm saying that is like that's the simple way for me to because I think what it is, without just say taking one stand or another, is that there is more information when you are in the same space. There is more
Right.
variables and there's more information you have to handle.
Yeah, that I totally agree. And that's like the point I'm trying to say is that's more than one dimension. But I don't know, like it's not that, I'm saying that this real life is like 4 dimension or actually 11 dimensions or I don't know what it is, but
But that's interesting. Like having the last days, like you have this from different people, like the in philosophy, like this discourse, like of rationality, of natural science, of science, or things that are exact. So me saying that there is a three-dimensionality, and then this is two, like yeah, like so that rational discourse, and then on the other hand, you have people more in the metaphysical discourse. Um, and often, but in different people like that are relevant to contemporaneity, you find that they are trying to blend in their own terms some space in between. Like yeah, kind of. I was like, and there's different people who are trying in different ways to to reconciliate both spaces in a way or another. Someone would say that it's more important the science, or the other one more the metaphysical space, but they will try to speak on this
mm,
conjunction, and they will just use a convoluted language to clarify nuances
mm,
uh,
I see.
on the convergence. But all of them are speaking about just information. I was thinking, like, I was like, I was today, I was playing, you see my carpet?
Yeah.
So I just play today with the VR. I just have a simple, wait, let me try it. Like, what I was trying to say is that in relation to this thing of VR, I thought I don't need so much things. What I need is to understand. I mean, too much things, too much elements. I need to have more an understanding of what are the elements that I would like to play. For instance, like uh, because I just have that carpet, I just thought like, and I was thinking already in that in my head when I did some basic sketch with Unity and then render there. Like there is a limit, there is a digital limit in my VR headset, and I found super interesting from that limit when I start breaking the limit and how that blends between being in the Unity app and then the pass through that the VR give me. And I like a lot that thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then
Interesting.
I just have my carpet there, and I just thought like, that's a limit. That's
Right.
literally the same thing that I found like captivating in my head and doing this is just there. There is a limit, and this thing is about the limit. Um,
It's funny because so I had a call with the people from YCAM yesterday, the media art institution in Japan, and one of them shared his blog post with me later, and it was about like how you can extend your body, but like I know like in contemporary dance workshops, there's like a lot of, ideas like, for example, like William Forsythe, just like try to see the virtual line between your hands or with a fixed point in the space. But instead, what he proposed is that you take a towel and, wrap it around a leg of a chair or something, and you pull it so that you have fixed distance because
yeah,
towel has fixed distance, and then just move around and like
yeah.
try to embody it so that you don't need to imagine, but you can actually feel that, and then you can do it virtually as well without a towel, for example, if you
So
have
what
enough experience.
So, but you need to access that first through experiencing that, like with the
Exactly.
towel, and then you have the feeling
Yeah,
of the towel, and then go without the towel.
exactly.
Ah,
It's a bit like what
interesting.
you just said, but it's like analog version.
Yeah. Something I mean, I was thinking in other regards is because I think that what I found interesting of the exercise, and it was also part of what I decided, I guess, not to work right now with a motion capture thing,
Hmm.
the whole emotion capture, is that you basically you move without the body. Like I was like you're if I'm in that space, that's what I found interesting of being in the pass-through limit, because then I don't see my hands. And if I'm dancing here, I don't see my hands. Once I cross the limit, I see my hands. And what because it's a noisy camera, what I see is black and white and blurry
Hmm.
also.
Right.
So it totally helped me to still find this kind of magical sigil space or whatever. Because if it will be completely unnatural, really well-defined camera, it is just really abrupt. The fact that it's
Hmm.
kind of crappy, the camera helped me to keep some kind of magic between the space where I'm moving and I don't have a body, and that in between space. And I mean, I just tried this today fast.
Yeah.
Uh, but this idea of the moving without the body, because I tried just now, I found interesting because it's not easy. It's like
No.
first, I did different things, and at the beginning is like, okay, I just thought it was to set the space to create a guardian and then just move. But then when I was moving, I realized that maybe I will hit this. Then you
Mm.
start finding different things that basically didn't allow me to move because I was just still in a state of perception, like perceiving still like, where am I? Can I move? Basically, like I didn't feel completely safe to
Right.
move.
Right. Moving without the body.
Yeah, moving without the body, like I think that is it's interesting because it takes a different take of, at least now, like there's a lot of the avatars and the representation of the body. So, but what if you stay in that space that you're moving and then just you don't have a body? And then what does that mean? How you can do something about that with other people? So I was
Mm.
recording my screen capture and then also this video. And of course, then what you see from the screen capture is you have this problem with cameras, like when if you're recording in point of view somebody and then it start moving, if it moves too fast, like it's
Yeah,
just
and you get
chaotic.
dizzy.
Or
Yeah.
yeah. So for instance, like right away, then you need to start thinking on these things like um it's just one thing. But I think that that's something that I found interesting, that like I guess in January will be nice. I still like to keep this format of lecture performance, but
Mm.
then what is that you are lecturing? What is that you're lecturing? Um, for instance, the lecture performance could be that it's a performance that at some point will be a performance, and then you generate the space for the performance to be. Maybe there's a carpet or something. Um, I I think in a similar way, I think we could approach also the thing in Tallinn in the sense of if we make some experiments with tools,
Right.
then we have experience with those tools and we just select. But then, so if we have 20 tools, we don't have to use them all. But
No.
then we select, we compose, um, and we present them in a way that we think is interesting. Um, I think it's speculative, because we are just speculating that this might be interesting, but it might not be interesting. It's different than presenting a performance, that in a performance in a way is you are doing something. Um, the lecture performance, I think it worked because then you are presenting your research, but it's not it's not a performance. Like I think a performance is it compromises more.
Yeah. I think I'm starting to like feel more comfortable with this format that we try to have some kind of dramaturgy or choreography or even just, like a set of rules, and we give a lecture within that frame so that it never become like, you just talk and talk and talk until you're satisfied with it, and then you do the performance. That's like the worst lecture performance and most of the lecture performances, I think. But if we just set the rules and we just follow the rules and we just do it, like give a lecture as ourselves, I think it's interesting enough and
Yeah,
comfortable.
yeah, yeah.
And we have all these tools, hopefully. And but I really like the idea of like moving without the body. And I think there's something that we can connect to tools.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Can be
Um,
VR, can be something on the browser. I was just thinking like what Joanna was doing in the exhibition. I'm super sleepy, so I'll just show this and then I go to bed. Um, Recoding technology, share screen, this. So this was the exhibition in mind, and yeah, this one. By the way, my project is also here, but
which one
I
is it?
showed the card stuff. But I made the card tutorial. Why is it not
I
loading?
didn't know. So this was the thing in from
Yeah, the
motion
Hochschule
motion the Hochschule.
Mainz. Yeah,
And Joanna
and
also was part of this project.
right,
Okay.
and it's just really nice work that is very simple. And basically, if you click, I can't see it because of the zoom. Yeah, so it just like gives you a choreography, and that's about when you're browsing,
What?
like when you're interacting with the browser.
What happened?
Well, it just shows a text that is a choreography that is about you using the browser.
Okay, and then what happens? Like,
No, that's it. Like you can see more. It
let's
just
see.
shows randomly.
Events like today on tickle boxes you encounter. No, well,
It's just a suggestion. That's it. But I think it's really nice that it's a choreography about you using the browser.
make a gesture, repeat. So it's suggesting you make a gesture, repeat that
Exactly.
gesture every time you click on a new link.
I'm just thinking like,
Increase the idle time every episode released today. Yeah, I think when it works is because it's very simple, yeah. Like
yeah,
I mean
and
it's very simple, but there's a space for poetics, like there is something in your head. Yeah.
totally, yeah. And also
It's very
like I just thought about it because you said, moving. Wait, what did you say? Moving without the body? No.
yeah, moving
Yeah,
without the body.
moving without the body, basically. I mean, it kind of makes sense because it's like it's really like explored a lot in Buto, and she's also, like a huge follower of. She was doing research in Japan about Buto, so I guess that also is the background of her choreography. Like this, I think the idea also comes from that too.
Yeah, I think what it could be interesting
Anyways,
also, we can take that that would be interesting
oof.
for us, the like what I think is when it's challenging. Like this is still this is two dimensional. So so it's in in a web.
Right.
It will be challenging, for instance, how to deal, for instance, with the VR thing. If you
Mm,
want we want to use it. Uh,
right.
because there's not too much, it's not too much that we have to add, but it's just we need to clarify it. We need to define some elements.
Right.
Could be like material elements, could be projection in this door, but not in that door. This app running, I mean, just for defining some elements, but also some that could be literally technical, but also some phrases, for instance. Like what Joanna is doing is she has the physical thing that is the clicking, but also then she has some poetics, you know?
Yep.
So it's just very simple. Um, Yeah, I think will be interesting, like to do that exercise in January. How you can still manage to work uh, in a very simple way, going in and out of that space
Simple way. Yeah.
that we have to define, like the we have to define. And then the
Yeah.
easiest way would be like through using what already exists. So there's a
Yeah.
lecture performance that we just take away things from there,
Yeah.
but maybe the structure. I mean, just using what we have, like the intent, because we have a clear intention. Is just from that intention would be nice. I would like to experiment with this element,
Oh,
the like the VR element, like
yeah. 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 Yeah.
and with the element and with this concept of limits. I think that's something that's kind of clear to me. The limits,
Limit of.
like it's literally, and this is the limits of when you break from being in the application of Unity, going into the pass-through. So the limit
Mm.
from being digital,
Oh, that's when you see the pass-through. Okay, it makes sense because of for the safety. Like that's what
because exactly because
kind
of
of
the guarding.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
very interesting. So, but I
Right.
mean, like then conceptually, there are a lot of things like about borders, limits. When I speak
Yeah.
about the reason and the metaphysics, like there's a lot of borders, like and things are there around.
Yeah. I think my final words. Um,
I find there's
just trying to finish it. Like when we think about tools, I think it's interesting to think what degree or like, like a spectrum of like how that can be embodied. Like Pathfinder was like interesting example because it was yeah, like we could use it as a movement, like as like embodiment in a very direct way because we move with the dot. And then with the text generation, I mean, we could still read it, or
no, it
we can
makes
use
sense.
voiceover, but something that, we just have to think about, not maybe less. Well, one thing is that we need audience interaction, but if
We don't
we,
need we don't need them, but I think the intention must be clear.
right, or it could be both, it could be audience interaction, but it's not about making a polished UI, but something that they can
No.
move with, for example,
No, and
or about,
also I think the exercise of the academy, I think is interesting because there is no time. So I think that's what I found interesting because there is not too much time. So you have to be practical, like from the intention, how can you represent and do the idea? Like
right,
not like, because it's exactly the same, like so it's not about creating a user interface, but what is the idea? Like so then it's the
yeah,
same, but then we have to do it for the 26th of January. And I think what is like very challenging when you put example of Pathfinder is that with Pathfinder, like the gap between the audience entering and understanding what they are supposed to do is just right away. There's a dot, you follow the dot. So
right,
it's clear. Um, so what I think could be complicated, which is with working with technology, is that the things are not working. So how you can deal with the fact that you want, so for I found interesting at least so far from my perspective as dancer, to experience that limit of in the space in Unity and in pass-through. the limit. I found it interesting.
Mm.
I have to see if how interesting is that in time. But so wait, what I'm saying is like that's the interesting thing that I found, like the experiment. But to keep the audience interested until I get there, we need to find choreographic strategies because it's not like as people follow the dot, like it's not like that. I need to see what happens and might not work. I might need to connect. I might need to. It's just the the threshold of problems is way different than just with Pathfinder white dot.
Wait, what are you comparing with?
The basically the intention. If the intentionality with the previous one was like the people there is a white dot, please follow the white dot,
Right.
or there's the attention, pay attention to the white dot that is moving. And if what I want right now is to people pay attention to how I'm experiencing this in VR and the limit between
Oh,
Unity
yeah,
and
okay.
Master,
Yeah.
I will have to deal with a lot of uncertainties. Like I have to put the VR headset. It might be not running. So there's a lot of things
Oh,
that
like
need
a
to happen.
technical, okay, aspect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
the other one is straightforward. You telling them is there and is running. I mean, there's less possible problems you might face than when you start working with
Yeah. Point of
this.
failure. Less point of failure with the dots. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
So, but then that could be something that in terms of composition could be very, I mean, interesting, that just you have to deal with that. So you have to find strategies to create, maybe it's not so black box. So in terms of composition, you need to put a computer in front, maybe instead of hiding that. Things like that.
Mm.
Because you cannot just expect that things go right because they possibly, I mean, things might not go good. So
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, let's think about it.
you
Let's
don't
try
have a
to.
final thought? You don't have the final thought? The
My final
final,
thoughts
the
is
final
that
thought.
I'm looking forward to being in the bed.
Okay.
Um,
Uh, I'm gonna go running and then talk with Anton. I'll talk with Anton later.
oh yeah, nice.
Yes. He'll tell me about chickens.
Chickens?
Yeah, chickens because he has chickens in his house and there's always chicken
Oh,
live. It's like chicken.
sounds amazing.
Yeah. And I think actually his chicken, I think he has like a whole system to control the chicken live there, like to help him. I think his house is quite like rustic or like I don't think he uses a lot of technology there. That's why he lives in the
Mm.
countryside. But the chickens, he built like a very specific like high-end chicken thing where he can control the stuff for the chickens, I think. Very funny.
Are they tracked somehow?
I think so. I think he has some kind of track. I think he's tracking, based on tracking, he can see how alive or dead or how happy are they with their told me about it.
Yeah, send
That's
us the
tracking.
API key and we can use it.
All right. So, but keep in touch and let's keep in mind to do the in one of these days, like the session of the notebook
Right.
one at a time,
Yeah,
because you first need to find the time to check it for yourself.
totally. Yeah, but I will do it.
Okay, check.
Cool.
Good night.
Ciao.